This is Mary Alice Hudson. My literature review was designed to examine the literature related to the following research questions. Does incorporating social emotional learning into remote learning promote student well-being? Does incorporating social emotional learning into remote learning increase student engagement? Does incorporating social emotional learning into remote learning improve student academic performance? And how can social emotional learning instruction and supports be integrated into remote learning to help grow student well-being, engagement, and academic performance? To examine the research related to these topics, I looked at the literature related to traditional online learning, the coronavirus pandemic and online learning, and social emotional learning and remote learning. I chose to examine traditional online learning because it has a long history, and I felt research would indicate challenges and successes in online learning and instruction related to student well-being, student engagement, and student academic performance. This proved to be a fruitful search. I found the results related to the coronavirus pandemic and online learning to be much less fruitful. Other than a meta-analysis of surveys related to student feelings related to being thrust into online learning, the information I found was anecdotal. Likewise, there was no literature related to social emotional learning and remote learning, but there is research related to social emotional learning and traditional online learning. I used this literature to consider ways social emotional learning can and should be integrated into remote learning. The research indicates traditional online learning has experienced many challenges related to student well-being, student engagement, and student academic performance. Research shows student sense of well-being is impacted by their sense of community, and community can be very difficult to establish in an online setting. Relationships create well-being, so fostering an online community of learners is critical to student success. Research shows student engagement is a predictor of school success. Disengaged students don't attend to the material or do the work and are therefore less likely to achieve the desired learning outcomes. Ironically, it's often teacher engagement that predicts student engagement. When students perceive teachers to be disengaged or unresponsive in an online setting, they're more likely to disengage themselves. Teachers cannot just assume students are engaged. They must actively monitor students' emotions, understanding of the material, and completion of work. Teachers must be engaged and directly engage students to keep students motivated and moving forward. There are a number of predictors of student academic performance related to online learning. In addition to student well-being, sense of community, and engagement, computer skills, internet connections, self-discipline, time management skills, study skills and habits, motivation, self-efficacy, and persistence are just a few of the factors impacting student success online. Students who are more self-directed and intrinsically motivated to learn will experience more success with less teacher support. Students who lack these skills will likely require additional teacher support to achieve their potential and experience academic success. It shouldn't be a surprise that these issues exist in online learning, as they also exist in face-to-face learning. Face-to-face schools struggle to create a sense of community that helps create student connections and feelings of well-being. Engagement is an ongoing issue, particularly for reluctant learners and just disinterested students. These and all of the other issues mentioned lead to challenges in student academic performance. And while these are difficult challenges to overcome in a face-to-face environment, they are even more challenging in an online environment when student emotions, interests, and understanding of presented material are difficult to quantify. In a traditional classroom, a hug and a pep talk can go a long way toward re-energizing a student who is off track. Even if a teacher is able to identify a student in distress in an online class, this simple comfort isn't possible in an online environment. As I mentioned earlier, I couldn't find any research related to the coronavirus pandemic and remote learning. All anecdotal accounts and my own personal experience paint a picture of disengaged students who are struggling with numerous issues related to home and school. Teachers were ill prepared to meet students' social, emotional, or academic needs via remote learning. An examination of the literature related to social emotional learning indicated it has been shown to combat many of the problems students face during remote learning. Social emotional learning is designed to help students develop healthy social and emotional behaviors such as decision-making, responsibility, and school engagement. It's an umbrella term that encompasses many skills related to growth mindset, self-efficacy, self-management, and social awareness. The need for student development of these skills became increasingly apparent as students struggled with fears related to safety, difficulties with time management and academic engagement, and a host of other challenges and frustrations which resulted in disengagement from remote learning during the coronavirus pandemic. Based on my literature review, I believe that incorporating social emotional learning into remote learning can promote student well-being, student engagement, and consequently improve student academic performance. The literature points to a number of ways to accomplish this. It's important to take the focus off of academics and put it on relationships. In a remote learning setting, it's essential to concentrate on establishing face-to-face engagement through virtual classrooms and class meetings. Collaborative activities increase student connections and engagement and can be facilitated through technology. Students should be given the opportunity to work with partners and in small groups online. These contacts create connections and promote well-being. Fun matters. The face-to-face school day is interspersed with breaks and downtime and games and recess and all sorts of opportunities for fun social engagement. Fun should be deliberately included in remote learning. Face-to-face school isn't all work. Remote learning shouldn't be either. Technology can be used to teach mindfulness and meditation practices which promote student well-being. It can also provide virtual spaces that can be used to connect students with professionals such as psychologists and counselors. Teachers can establish predictable online routines, make sure instructions are easy to understand and that students understand them, ask open-ended questions about student experiences and emotions, make sure all students feel included and valued, include mindfulness and self-regulation activities and assignments, encourage expression of emotion through drawing, help students express gratitude, directly discuss the importance of connectedness, and identify and provide extra support to students who are struggling academically or emotionally. Social emotional learning provides students with skills linked to increased well-being, motivation, engagement, and connectedness. Social emotional learning is vital when students are in face-to-face classrooms, but even more important when they are engaged in remote learning. Social emotional learning is essential to keep students emotionally healthy, socially connected, and capable of achieving academic success. Thank you for listening. Here are my references and my image credits. Thank you.